Hey yo, welcome to our podcast where we will be sharing our student stories. From culture on campus to inspiring individuals, we'll give you an insight into our international student community. I'm Fedor, a first-year PhD student in the Department of History. Today, we will be chatting about how Chevening scholars are planning on changing the world. Today, I'm joined by Asavia and Cynthia. Do you guys want to introduce yourselves?
Sure. I'm Asaver from Lahore, Pakistan, and I'm studying management in the cultural and creative industries at the University of York. Professionally, I worked as an artist and curator. So, I'm trying something new with this degree. I'm going into the business and management side. And I think one of the reasons that I actually picked York was because this program offered a good balance of creative arts and technologies, but also business. So it's like a balanced way to transition, especially if you're trying to diversify your career opportunities. Cynthia.
I'm Cynthia Nagasha, and I'm from Uganda, and pursuing a Master of Science in Development Disorders and Clinical Practice. Previously, I worked as a speech and language therapist in Uganda, and it's a great privilege to be in York.
Right. Well, I'm going to ask you a few questions, and these will be open to both of you. I'm going to start with a question that Asavia actually started answering there. What made you choose York?
So I chose York because it's one of the very few universities that offered a postgraduate course in my field. My field is extremely specialized, and not many universities offer course opportunities in it. And so when I came across my particular course, I was really excited and went straight for it. And the other reason is because York is very international student friendly, and its conditions were not very hard to fulfill. I was able to fulfill the university conditions, and when I looked at the campus online, it looked really pretty, and I was like, this is it. Yeah.
Great.
Yeah, I think for me as well, of course, it's a Russell Group university. That's a big deal, especially for your CVs. But I think apart from the academics, which I've already mentioned, I really enjoy the fact that it's a walkable campus and a walkable city, especially coming from South Asia, where public spaces aren't necessarily made to be walkable. They're kind of surrounded by traffic. It's very integrated into the cityscape to be able to walk freely and safely. York is very safe.
Yeah.
I was literally walking, I think, at 12 a.m. at night, just on the campus, which I consider to be a huge privilege. So I see a lot of value in being able to walk 30 minutes to my classes while the view is so beautiful. It's a very scenic city. There are lakes, there's ducks everywhere, there's birds. And even for my creative practice, I think it's been really fascinating to be able to study a lot of the flora and fauna. And, I've been doing drawings and stuff and keeping up with my own work and passions while I'm also pursuing a degree.
I think quite a lot of guests on the podcast mentioned just how safe York is.
Yeah.
Which, yes, that is quite an important thing to consider for quite a few of our students. Another question that's open to both of you. How has becoming a Chevening scholar changed your life, if it has?
Well, first of all, it's just the opportunity to be able to come to the UK. Prior to the scholarship, I'd not been in the UK before, and the UK was one of those countries top on my list that I'd wanted to visit, and just the opportunity to not just visit but immerse myself in the culture and study here it's such a great privilege. The other thing is Chevening has opened so many doors for me, being able to study my master's, being able to meet students from all different parts of the world. I mean, Africa, Europe, South America. It's really amazing, and it has broadened my ideas. Previously, I had ideas of things that I wanted to do, dreams that I hope to fulfill, and in the process of just studying, I have been exposed to a whole lot of things, and day by day, my ideas keep widening. And lastly, I would say is just the cultural immersion and different experiences. For example, recently I went to Scotland and I was able to immerse myself in the Scottish culture. And just also, for example, in York, listening to the different Yorkshire accents and visiting the different places in York is really, really amazing. And also just the different international cultures from the different international students. So that is something that Chevening promised to deliver, and I am seeing.
Yeah, for sure. I was going to say, I think the same thing. One is travel. I think being situated in York allows you to travel to a lot of other places as well. There's a lot to see. Like there's medieval Gothic historical architecture, which is amazing to study here. But like you can literally venture out into Leeds or Manchester whenever you need to like get into like a more busy city sort of lifestyle. And then you can come back and, you know, be at peace at a smaller, safer town. Yeah. And unwind. And it's very beneficial, I think, for neurodivergent people who like to have their moments of recharge. So that's something that I've really enjoyed. And also, yes, what you said about the Chevening network. Just like being surrounded by people from all over the world, I think the closest friends that I've made in York are actually all Chevening scholars. A girl from South Africa or Albania, Paraguay, Bangladesh. So like we've, you get to try out their foods, you get to learn about their history, you can bond over histories of colonialism and kind of unpack that, you know, and it's a wonderful opportunity to kind of then see how we can kind of, we're all trying to decolonize certain aspects of systems back in our homelands. And I think, yeah, it gives you perspective that you're not alone in that. And also you're kind of learning together and you by having these experiences together. And I think I really enjoyed visiting like the diverse curatorial practices that they had at different museums. Like Edinburgh was very different. And then you have the Manchester Museum, which we recently visited, which was also very different. So yeah, I think it kind of helps you see where you can, what kind of curatorial vision are you going to contextualize to your own country when you do go back?
Yeah.
I'm glad that people like the Yorkshire accent.
I know quite difficult.
Yes, I know that sometimes, depending on where exactly the Yorkshire can be quite broad and difficult, but I'm glad you're a fan, Cynthia. Have you been involved in any volunteering opportunities?
Well, personally, I haven't, but that is something that I'm really interested in. For volunteering, I was looking at being able to be part of projects, particularly working with children with special needs, because that is my field, special needs and rehabilitation. So not just to give back to community, but also be able to learn and pick different ideas that I can also be able to apply. So I have not yet been able to get opportunities yet, but as my second semester starts, that's something that I'm key into getting deeper in.
Yeah, it's the same for me because I think the first semester was about like settling in, absorbing all the culture that you're being exposed to and learning from that, and also trying to settle in. And I think one of my goals for the second semester is kind of being more hands-on in terms of volunteering opportunities, especially like formal volunteering opportunities. But I do know that Chevening offers like a lot of volunteering programs that happen across different places in the UK.
Yeah.
And also sometimes you get like other volunteering opportunities through the Chevening community WhatsApp groups. So like I was just helping like an Afghan girl with her application, you know, so like you can also do stuff like that.
Yeah. So that's something that we were, because in the last semester that was a period of Chevening applications. So most of us were helping people with their essays and guiding them, and I know that's something that we'll get to. But also to mention, Chevening offers volunteering opportunities, but most of them you'll find are situated in like London, which is quite far from York.
There was actually one at Leeds that I found out about on the 30th when the opportunity was like happening, like the program was happening. We could have made it, but we didn't read the scholorgram on time.
I
Oh, that
wasn't
is-
aware
Yeah.
of that one.
Yeah, that's a bit unfortunate.
Yeah.
Well, I'm sure more things will come
Yeah,
up
yeah,
further,
for sure.
further into the thing. And even at the University of York, we understand that obviously the first semester, especially during a postgraduate program, it can be very busy and you need to settle in. So
Yeah.
if you're looking for university-specific opportunities, there will be a second welcome week at the start of the second
Oh,
semester
yes.
with even more things advertised. Obviously, we know that the sort of first welcome week is in the start of the year, but the second week is also there. So
Yeah,
if
yeah.
you want to look at the university-specific stuff, it will definitely be there.
Yeah.
Do you have any plans for after your studies?
Yes, definitely. Well, top of my plans would be after my graduation, I'll be looking back to going back home and fulfilling some of the short-term plans. As Chevening scholars, part of the ACEs, we have short-term plans, mid-term plans, and long-term plans. And so top of my list would be the short-term plans that I hope to deliver. And for me, having worked as a speech and language therapist, I worked with different age groups of individuals with communication disabilities. However, an area that I found my specialty to be in was working with children. And my course offers me the opportunity to specialize in children with neurodevelopmental disorders. And going back home, I hope to take on consultation opportunities in different hospitals and schools, looking at hospital-based therapy, school-based therapy, and also working in community rehabilitation programs. So that is my immediate plan when I get back home. However, before, I do know that there is a lag between finishing the course and graduation. So I do hope to get involved in some internship opportunities in York, hopefully, if I get. Yeah.
Yeah, I think my long-term goal is also my short-term goal, which is essentially to make art education more accessible and approachable in Pakistan. Because the way that it's practiced right now, it's very gate-kept. It's through like a lot of privileged institutions can offer art education and programming, but mostly schools, etc., don't really offer that. So it's kind of seeing different ways of making it approachable and accessible in museum spaces and art gallery spaces. And I'm already I have a few proposals ready for when I go back to kind of collaborate with artists and educators in Pakistan to kind of develop strategies that can be incorporated in spaces like the Lahore Museum. And actually, one of the courses that I'm studying for this semester allow us to work in close proximity with a cultural industry and devise like a strategy and proposal to make basically to increase audience engagement. So I think that would really kind of help me contextualize what I learned to when I go back. Yeah.
Well, I know that you've mentioned that I think you were already assisting someone who wants to apply for the Chevening scholarship. Do you have any top tips for people who are thinking of applying for it?
I think one of the things that held me back when I was applying is imposter syndrome, which I think is mostly common for women, especially for coming from the global south or a third world country in general. And I think that you need to understand that whatever experiences that you've had and the education that you have is very valuable. And you shouldn't let, socio, political or cultural factors kind of hold you back in that. And I do think that the resources that are actually available online, like a lot of YouTube guidances, which kind of guide you through the essay structure and formats, they're so useful. And the Chevening website itself is so comprehensive and useful. So I think we need to be in a habit of kind of rereading the instructions and kind of taking help from past scholars. Don't be shy to reach out to any scholars that you find. I think they will kind of guide you through that process. Yeah.
Yeah, I do agree with Asafir. Top of my list, I think the biggest tip for me would be to seek help from Chevening alumni.
Yeah.
Prior to getting this scholarship, I had applied for more than 4 times for Chevening and
Mm.
different scholarships. And the reason as to why I did that quite a couple of times was because I did not know the process
Mm.
of applying and how to do it. So you'd get a place in a university and you're very excited because you have this place, and then you're thinking, okay, there's funding. I need funding. And for most of international students, one of the challenges is funding.
Yeah.
So my first tip would be to seek help from Chevening alumni, especially for the Chevening scholarship, and they'll help you to look at your essays and guide you to see what you need to improve. The other thing would be to have a theme of what you want to study. So many times you want to upgrade our studies or our qualifications just for the sake of it.
Mm.
But I would challenge students to not just do it for the degree, but what are the problems in your country
Yeah.
or in your area that you want to solve? What are you passionate about? And what do you think you could improve? And so that is the background for your theme, because Chevening is looking at creating change makers in their community. So you need to have a theme, problems that you want
Yeah.
to
Basically,
so-
identify gaps within
Yeah.
your countries and
Yeah.
see where you, like, what areas are you interested in kind of offering your expertise and skills and knowledge, and how are you going to take it further through the masters that you're going to undertake.
Exactly. Yeah.
That is very, very inspiring indeed, and I hope many people who want to apply to the scholarship and will be listening to this podcast will use your tips, because they do sound great.
Mhm.
Well, just to wrap us up, what is your favorite moment at York so far?
I have so many, but I would say the city. Like you mentioned, York is a very, it has a medieval, historical setting. And so for me, my favorite moment in York is just being able to stroll through the streets in the city. And I have a sweet tooth. And York has lots of cafes.
Yes.
So I like to try out different delicacies in the local bakeries and the cafes. So that's really one of my favorite moments in York, and preferably on a sunny day.
Mm.
So that has more vibe,
Yeah.
if I may say.
Yeah.
Yeah, just walking on the stone paved streets and just seeing all the people in the city. It's really beautiful. I was telling my friends that it kind of looks like the streets of Venice, Italy, from like the movies. It's just something
it's very
different.
picturesque. Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Different from the big cities that I've been
Yeah.
to, Manchester, Liverpool. I come back to York at the end of the day and I'm so glad I came to York.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think York has a lot of character, and I would say I really enjoyed the Aesthetica Film Festival, which happened. I got the opportunity to actually get a free pass for that through my program. And it's an annual film festival that happens at York, and it basically showcases the works of independent film artists throughout the UK. So it's a very unique film festival that's literally happening every year in York. And if you're a filmmaker, you can actually apply your short film for that. That was amazing. I think I got to experience so many independent films. It's just back-to-back films, like for 3 days. That was lovely. But I think, every day there's something sort of unique and special about just the mundane aspects of life at York, just because it's such a historically rich city with so much nature. Even on the misty days when there's no sunlight, it's so scenic and picturesque. So there's something like unique even in those moments. And I've really enjoyed just having these sort of mundane experiences in the company of good friends that are actually part of the Chevening network. I think it's just like doing groceries together, going on walks while you're going to classes, looking at the ducks, sitting on the benches for a bit. I think that kind of adds to the entire experience.
Yeah, I've just been reminded of my ambassador interview, and they were like, what was your best memory of the campus? And it just took me back to my first days at the university when I was walking by the lake and I saw these swans. And I'm like, I don't know if I had ever seen swans before, like physically. Recalling back to Uganda, we don't really have we have lots of ducks, but swans, if I remember well, I would see them mostly in the movies. So just being able to see them physically and seeing plenty of them is like, wow, they just look so majestic and so elegant.
And they don't attack you. Like,
yeah.
it's safe. It's safe. Like there, it's so everything is very integrated. Like nature is very integrated into the campus, and then you have like a lot of like modern progressive ventures happening in the city that are integrated with like historically rich landmarks. So I think that's what kind of gives it a good balance. Like you're safe, but you also have access to these different things. I also love this one.
Yeah.
And on this very positive note, we will call it a wrap. Thank you very much for listening, and until next time.
Thank you for having us.
Thank you for having us.